What up, nerds? My name is Leslie. Welcome to The Nerdy Narrative. Today, I'm going to share with you some of the short story and essay collections I plan to read in 2022. The majority of these I expect to complete this year. Some are very extensive and will take much longer, but good news is I don't plan to quit reading anytime soon, and my current routine is to read a short story every morning with my first cup of coffee. So let's start with what I am currently working my way through. And first up is Stephen King's Night Shift collection. This is a read-along hosted by Jake over at the Bookish Drummer. We are about to wrap up Night Shift, and then we will be moving into Skeleton Crew. I'm going to have him linked down below, so if you would like to join us in March for Skeleton Crew, you absolutely can. And if you want to jump into Night Shift and read those, I'm sure he's going to leave those channels up for a while. We've talked about each short story as we read it, but we usually read 1 to 2 a week depending on length. I've really enjoyed this collection. I'm really looking forward to reading Skeleton Crew. The next one that I'm currently almost halfway through is Flannery O'Connor's The Complete Stories collection. I have absolutely enjoyed this collection. First collection in here, most of those short stories actually later were adapted into chapters that became her novel Wise Blood, so that was kind of a reread for me. The second group, oh my word, just amazing. Enough dread and suspense and thrill that it could have been written by Stephen King himself, but this is one I absolutely plan to finish. I started reading it as part of the Flannery January event that were hosted by some friends of mine, and I have no intention of stopping. Just absolutely love. The next collection I'm working my way through are the nonfiction essays by Joan Didion. This is called We Tell Ourselves Stories in Order to Live. I am doing this as part of a read-along that is hosted by Kate from the Literary Apothecary. Again, I'm going to have that information linked below. We are currently reading 1 essay per month. I have really enjoyed the ones we've read so far. This one we'll be working through for quite some time, however long it takes us to get through all of these. I've read enough to know that if for any reason at the end of the year Kate chooses not to continue going forward, I'm going to keep going because I've really enjoyed her. And then this next collection, I actually started reading through some of it last year. This year I'm going to dedicate more time to it. This is the Complete Stories collection of Clarice Lispector, all of her translated short stories, and I just adore this author. Clarice Lispector is just amazing. She can take the most mundane thing, something you might do every day, such as cleaning the kitchen, and just turn it into a piece of literary genius. Just give it meaning. She's really hard to describe. Her stories invoke such deep thinking. And sometimes I don't get the meaning of it. I have to think about it for days, whether I want to or not. The stories hang around that she writes that I read. They're so much fun to talk about with other readers. I especially love to talk about them with Una from the Codex Cantina. He's really good at literary analysis. He's so knowledgeable about different symbolism found in literary works. And when I'm just really struggling finding my own interpretation of the story, I can go to him and ask him a few questions, and then I can zero in on what I'm pulling out of each story. And then the final collection that I've already started is Kurt Vonnegut's The Complete Stories collection. I have loved every single story I have read in this collection so far. Now, I'm not too deep off into it. I'm still in the first section, which is titled War, but every single one of these stories have been so enjoyable, so easy to read. His writing style is so free-flowing, but so good. Just amazing. If you're someone who tried reading his classic Slaughterhouse-Five and it didn't jive with you and that put you off from him, please try 1 or 2 of his short stories. Any 2, just pick 2. At this point, they've all been good. I feel confident if you pick any 2, you're going to get a good feel for how he wrote his other things. So I am absolutely loving working my way through this collection. I don't know that I will finish Vonnegut or Lispector this year, but I'm definitely going to get some work done. Oh, Actually, I have one more collection here that I've started previously, and that is Brandon Sanderson's Arcanum Unbounded. I have read one or two of the stories out of here already. They took place in and around the Stormlight Archives, so I read those. I already have plans to read 2 more in the month of February. And then I know there are more in here that fall in with the Cosmere as I read along through that. I'm going to do my best to read the rest of the Cosmere in 2022. We'll see how that goes. And I know there's going to be stories in there that fall in with that series. So that's another one I may not finish in 2022. Now the rest of these are all planned to get read in 2022. First up, highly anticipated, is Tribulations by Richard Thomas. I read his collection Spontaneous Human Combustion and absolutely loved every single story in that collection. His and Kurt Vonnegut's are the only 2 so far that I've read a single collection by one author and loved every story. Now, I haven't actually finished Vonnegut yet, so he might get scratched off that list. And from what I understand, this collection covers a range of genres: fantasy, science fiction, horror, magical realism, just like Spontaneous Human Combustion did. And I think that's what helps make them so good. Spontaneous Human Combustion had a mix, and that just made it exciting. It made it different. So I'm going to be digging into this one very soon. Cannot wait. Later this year, I will be reading Zoranil Hurston's The Complete Stories. I read her other collection last year, Hitting a Straight Lick with a Crooked Stick. I really enjoyed it. It felt like going back and visiting a couple of towns that I met for the first time and a couple of her novels that I read. I always love reading Zoranil Hurston. And while we're talking about her, let me just go ahead and get the other one out here. So I will be starting this one next week. This is the latest published work. It's a collection of essays by Zoranil Hurston. The title of the collection is You Don't Know Us Negroes. I am very excited. My friend Evie sent me this. We're going to be buddy reading it starting in the month of February. I am so excited to read these essays. I love Zoranil Hurston. The woman can write no wrong. Just, chef's kiss. So next is Liminal Spaces, edited by Kevin Lucia. I hope I said his last name right. I am extremely excited. This one was recommended to me by the author Richard Thomas, who I'm going to read his Tribulations collection. He has a story in this one. This one is dark speculative fiction about liminal spaces, like the in-between. You're not here, but you're somewhere. I think I'm going to have the best time reading this collection. Just cannot wait. Oh man, I just cannot wait. I saw a couple of titles in there, like Mirror Mirror. Oh, I can just imagine what that one's going to be, like Trapped in a Mirror maybe. I don't know. I can't wait to read those. I will be reading Mike Thorne's Darkest Hours Expanded Edition. I was looking forward to it so much, and then I just never picked it up. I don't know why. I love Mike Thorne's writing. He is an amazing author. He has such a lyrical way with words. It's just beautiful. I read his debut novel, Shelter of the Damned. I liked it. I was not a fan of the ending. I wanted more. I mean, which I guess he succeeded as an author. I wanted more, but I didn't feel like I had enough information for my imagination to run wild with what I think could have happened. Now, did I still enjoy reading that one? Absolutely. I liked reading it just because I like the way he writes his words. I don't know how to explain it other than that, except to say I will link an interview that Steve Talks About Books and Stuff did with author Mike Thorne, plus a panel that Mike was in. I could just listen to him talk. He talks so intelligently, not that goes over your head like you don't understand what he's saying. He just has amazing word choice. Just, love it, love it. That's what's so cool about reading. Like I said, Shelter of the Damned, not my favorite. But I still would read it because Mike Thorne wrote it. Like, I like his style. I like the way he talks. I like the way he writes. I'm going to buy everything Mike Thorne puts out. Moving on to Stephen Graham Jones, the ones that got away. You had to know Stephen Graham Jones was going to be somewhere in this video, because if I'm talking about reading, I'm talking about Stephen Graham Jones. I'm very excited. A few of my friends have read this. They loved it. I can't wait to see what he does here with his short fiction. I don't know that I've ever read a short story by him yet. I know he's got a ton. I just don't think I've actually made room for them yet. I've been working my way through all of his novels, which are amazing. Absolutely amazing. And then I got this collection, or actually I got it for Christmas, but it was on my wish list because Stephen Graham Jones is in here. This is When Things Go Dark, a collection of stories that were inspired by the author Shirley Jackson. Now, while I did get it because Stephen Graham Jones was in here, I also see a lot of other names that I'm excited about. Cassandra Call, Shauna McGuire, Carmen Maria Machado, Josh Mallerman, Paul Tremblay, and then there's a whole bunch I've never heard of, but I'm excited to read them because short stories and collections like this are great ways to discover new authors with a small time investment. You read a short story and you're like, hey, if that author can wow you with a short fiction, can you imagine what their long fiction is going to be? That's why I love short stories. There is a collection called Classic Science Fiction and Fantasy Stories, edited by Stephen Brennan. I chose that particular collection because it fulfilled the theme for the first week, which was to read classic fantasy that was published prior to 1971. If I like the collection, I'll continue it, but I'll have to make that call once I start reading it. Actually, the next 3 collections I'm also reading because of February fantasy stories fulfilling a certain theme. So the next collection is Elementals by Stuart Sims. That one I believe only has 4 stories in it, so I'll definitely be knocking those 4 down. Then Black as Spells, which fulfills, I want to say, the grimdark dark fantasy theme. That was edited by C.T. Phipps, and I haven't even looked to see what all authors are included there, but I have a feeling I'm going to like that one enough to complete that one. And then the final one is Side Jobs by Jim Butcher. I know I'm a huge fan of Butcher and the Dresden Files, but I never finished reading either of the 2 short story collections. I've started on Side Jobs, but I just never finished. So I'm going to work on that one. I don't know if I'll get it completed this year. We'll have to see. These are the collections that I'm going to be working on this year and or completing this year. I'm sure there's going to be more added to the list. I know I've seen some amazing ones in the horror community being promoted. They're not out yet, but when they are, I'll be sneaking myself a copy and working it into the rotation. What do you guys think? Do you like reading short stories? Have I maybe gotten you a little bit interested to try? My routine currently, I read a short story every morning with my first cup of coffee because I like to sit still with that first cup. I'm not interested in moving around, and I'm also my most alert first thing in the morning, like once the coffee starts kicking in anyway. And reading a short story, especially one that has an ending that may be open-ended or one that's thought-provoking, that stays with me and just gets my brain kicking into gear and moving, and I feel, I may be wrong, but I feel like I'm way more productive by starting out the morning reading something that just gets those juices flowing. I don't know, I could just be making stuff up for myself. Who knows? Guys, thank you so much for watching today. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.